The scene opens with Emma, a young woman who has been living on the streets for months. Her clothes are ragged, her face is worn, and the life of hardship has taken its toll. On a quiet afternoon, as she stands by the side of the road, the sound of a car engine sputtering to a halt cuts through the stillness. A large, expensive car suddenly breaks down in front of her. The driver, a handsome billionaire CEO named James, steps out. His tall figure and sharp suit contrasting sharply with the rundown surroundings. He pulls up the hood of the car, trying to fix it, but with no success. Emma stands at a distance, unsure of what to do, when James catches sight of her. His eyes scan her, and a slight frown crosses his face as he notices her anxious demeanor. After a while, James walks over, wiping his hands on a rag, and approaches her with genuine concern in his voice. "You look troubled. Is everything okay?" he asks. Emma, lost in thought but unsure of how to explain her situation, shakes her head. "I'm fine," she says quietly, but her eyes give away the distress she feels. The tension between the two is palpable. Emma, who has been isolated for so long, struggles with even a simple interaction, while James, a man who has everything, seems to see her pain, though she tries to hide it. The moment of silence is broken by James's next words. "If you don't mind, I could use a little help too. I'm having some trouble with the car." James, now standing in front of her, notices something in Emma's eyes, something beyond the surface. He lowers his voice. "I don't want to pry, but you don't look like you're doing too well. Do you need a ride anywhere?" Emma hesitates, glancing at the street around her, where cars rush by, oblivious to her existence. "I don't know where I'm going," she says, almost in a whisper. "I've been lost for a while now." The way she speaks stirs something in James, an unfamiliar sense of compassion. He offers her a tentative smile. "Well, I'm heading that way. Why don't you come with me? At least you won't have to stand here in the cold." Emma, surprised by his kindness, nods slowly. There's something about James's presence, his calm and reassuring demeanor, that makes her feel like it might be okay to trust him, even if just for a moment. They get into the car, and as it begins to move, the city unfolds in front of them. The quiet between them is comforting, yet Emma can't shake the feeling that her life is about to change, though she doesn't know how or why. James turns to her again, his curiosity piqued by the deep sadness he sees in her. "You mentioned you're lost. Is everything okay? You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but sometimes it helps to share." Emma sits still for a while, gazing out of the window, her thoughts racing. She feels the weight of her past and the struggles that have shaped her into the woman she is today. And with that, the stage is set for a journey neither of them could have anticipated. James walks over to Emma, his eyes immediately noticing the weariness in her face. Her clothes are ragged, and her posture suggests she's been through far more than she should have to bear. His concern deepens as he takes a step closer, giving her a once-over. "You look troubled. Are you all right?" he asks, his voice warm, carrying a genuine note of care. Emma, startled by his question, looks up and hesitates, unsure of how much to share. She looks down at her hands, clasped tightly in front of her, as if gathering the strength to speak. "I'm fine, just lost," she replies quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. James raises an eyebrow, unconvinced. His instincts tell him there's more to her story, something she's not revealing just yet. He looks at her more closely, noticing the faint tremble in her hands, and then says, "You sure? You seem like you could use a break." Emma lets out a deep, frustrated sigh, feeling a wave of exhaustion wash over her. She finally meets his gaze, her eyes tired but searching. "I don't really know where I'm going. Just passing through," she says, almost like a confession. The weight of the truth lingers in the air between them. There's a brief moment of silence, as if both of them are contemplating what to say next. Then, with a soft curiosity, Emma asks, "What's your name?" "James." He replies, his tone light, offering a small smile. I'm the CEO of a company. Emma looks at him for a moment, slightly taken aback by his casual demeanor. She doesn't feel the need to reveal much, her wall's still up. I'm Emma, she says simply, her voice quieter now, almost distant. She's not ready to share. More, not yet. The two stand there for a moment, the conversation hanging in the air, each of them holding a piece of something unspoken. James, despite his polished exterior, feels a growing need to help her, something in him telling him that. Emma's story is one he can't walk away from just yet. Asterisk, the sound of the car's engine finally hums back to life. The stubborn vehicle, now purring smoothly after James had spent several minutes working on it. He steps back from the front, wiping his hands on a rag, clearly relieved that the issue had been resolved. Emma watches him from a distance, still unsure of what to do. The car had been the last thing she expected to see on this lonely stretch of road, and now, with the situation shifting, her discomfort only grows. James looks at Emma, his eyes lingering on her for a moment. He could see the wariness in her gaze, the way she shifted from one foot to the other, not quite knowing what to do next. His instinct told him that Emma wasn't just lost in the physical sense. She seemed lost in a much deeper way, as if the weight of her life had caused her to lose direction. Despite his own busy world and obligations, there was something about her that called to him, a quiet plea for help that he couldn't ignore. As he straightens up from the hood of the car, he turns to face her more directly. I can take you somewhere, he says, his voice gentle but firm. It's not safe for you to be out here alone. Emma, startled by the offer, looks down at her worn shoes, suddenly feeling the weight of the moment. She hadn't been expecting kindness, not from anyone, least of all from a well-dressed stranger. She looks at the road ahead, unsure if she can trust this offer. I don't even know where I'm going, she admits softly, her voice trailing off as if she's speaking more to herself than to him. James senses her hesitation and steps closer, his expression softening. Come with me, he insists, his tone light but sincere. I can drop you somewhere safe, at least give you a place to rest for a while. His words hold no judgment, no pressure. It's as though he's offering a simple act of kindness. And for some reason, Emma feels she can trust him, though she's still uncertain of how much. Emma stands still for a moment, feeling torn. The streets have been her home for so long. The thought of relying on someone, especially a stranger, feels like an unfamiliar yet strangely comforting option. She's been hurt by so many people before, her past marked by betrayal and loss. But something about James's calm presence makes her think that maybe, just maybe, he isn't like the others. With a sigh, she nods reluctantly. Okay, she says, her voice barely above a whisper, as if speaking louder might shatter the fragile trust that's already begun to form between them. James doesn't say anything more. He simply opens the passenger door for her, the act of kindness almost seeming too simple for the complicated situation at hand. Emma hesitates for only a second before she slips into the car, feeling the warmth of the interior wrap around her. Like a cocoon. The engine purrs back to life as James climbs into the driver's seat, and they begin to pull away from the side of the road, leaving behind the solitude and uncertainty that had been Emma's constant companion. The silence in the car is comfortable at first, neither of them feeling the need to speak. The hum of the engine and the occasional sound of the tires on the asphalt create a gentle backdrop to the quiet that fills the space between them. Emma stares out of the window, her gaze lost in the blur of the passing landscape, while James focuses on the road ahead, his thoughts racing. As they drive on, Emma feels the tension in her shoulders begin to loosen. For the first time in a long time, she isn't thinking about survival, about the constant battle to keep going each day. She's just here, in the moment. The stillness inside the car offers her a temporary respite from the chaos of her world. Few moments pass before James breaks the silence. His voice is soft, almost tentative. "Where are you headed, if you don't mind me asking?" he inquires, genuinely curious but careful not to push her too hard. Emma turns to look at him, the question catching her off guard. She hasn't thought about it much. Her life, up until now, has been about surviving the present, not planning for a future she barely feels entitled to. She swallows hard before responding, her voice quieter than before. "I don't really have anywhere to go," she says, her words laced with the heaviness of a past she hasn't shared. "I'm just trying to get by." James nods, sensing the weight in her words, though he doesn't press further. There's no need to rush her story. He knows that sometimes people need time before they're ready to speak their truth. They drive for a while longer in silence, with only the occasional sound of tires on the road to break the stillness. After a while, James pulls the car into a small, quiet neighborhood. The houses here are modest, with neat yards and trees lining the streets. He turns to Emma with a soft smile. "I'll drop you off at a coffee shop I know," he offers. "It's a good place to rest for a bit." Emma glances at the familiar street, something about this simple gesture bringing a small sense of comfort. Maybe it's the warm air inside the car or the gentle, quiet nature of James's offer, but for the first time in a long while, she doesn't feel as lost as she did when she first stood on that road. The car slows to a stop in front of a small, cozy cafe with a welcoming sign. Emma looks out the window, unsure of what to say or do next. James turns off the engine, his gaze meeting hers. "It's the least I can do. Take your time, okay?" he says with a reassuring smile. Emma nods, grateful but still unsure of what comes next. As she opens the door to leave, she hesitates for a moment, looking back at James. "Thank you," she says softly, the weight of her gratitude heavier than she lets on. James simply nods, a silent acknowledgement that this small act of kindness means more than either of them can put into words. The car slows as it comes to a stop in front of a quaint, cozy cafe with a warm glow coming from the windows. Emma looks out at the inviting scene, her thoughts swirling. For the first time in a while, she feels a sense of relief wash over her, though she's still guarded. The calm atmosphere inside the cafe offers her a momentary escape from the harsh reality of her life on the streets. James turns off the engine and looks over at Emma with a quiet smile. "Take your time," he says gently, his voice full of understanding. "I'll wait for you here if you need anything." Emma nods slowly, her chest tightening. It's strange, this kindness from a man she just met. She's been alone for so long that she can't help but wonder if it's real or just an illusion. But something in James's eyes tells her it's genuine. With a deep breath, she opens the door and steps out, the crisp air hitting her face like a sudden rush of clarity. The cafe is small, tucked away between two older buildings, and the smell of freshly brewed coffee greets her as she steps inside. There are a few patrons scattered around the room, mostly reading newspapers or chatting softly over mugs of coffee. Emma stands in the doorway for a moment, taking in the quiet atmosphere, before making her way to the counter. The barista, a young woman with a friendly smile, looks up as Emma approaches. "What can I get for you?" she asks, her voice warm. Emma hesitates, feeling a little out of place. She hasn't been inside a cafe in so long, let alone ordered something for herself. Her eyes scan the menu before settling on a simple, affordable choice. "Just a coffee, please," she replies quietly. "Coming right up," the barista says as she starts preparing the drink. Emma finds a quiet corner by the window and sits down. She wraps her hands around the warm mug once it's placed before her, savoring the heat that spreads through her fingers. She takes a slow sip, her mind drifting back to the events of the day. She hadn't expected this. She hadn't expected a stranger, especially a CEO, to offer help. It felt almost too good to be true, but the warmth of the coffee and the comforting atmosphere of the cafe make her momentarily forget the weight of her past. As she sits there, lost in her thoughts, her phone buzzes in her bag. She pulls it out, startled to see that it's a message from her sister, whom she hasn't heard from in months. The message is brief, just a couple of sentences. Hope you're doing okay. Call me when you can. The message stirs something inside Emma. She hasn't spoken to her family in so long. Too much has happened between them for things to ever be the same. She sighs and puts the phone back in her bag, not ready to deal with that just yet. Her mind drifts to the last time she saw her parents, to the moment everything changed. She remembers the day her father died unexpectedly, tragically leaving her mother to raise her and her siblings on her own. Her mother's health had deteriorated over the years, and Emma had been the one to care for her, watching as the woman who once filled their house with warmth slowly faded away. Then there was Liam, her ex-husband. He was once charming, successful, a businessman in his own right, but behind the polished exterior was a man who controlled her, manipulated her, and abused her. The pain of that relationship still lingered, even though she had escaped it years ago. He had been a billionaire, but his wealth didn't matter to Emma anymore. The emotional scars he left behind were far worse than any material wealth could heal. The memory of Liam's final betrayal, the night he had thrown her out, still haunted Emma. The night she had been forced to walk the streets alone, not knowing where to go or what to do. She had tried to reach out to her family, but they were all busy with their own lives, lost in their own worlds. She had felt so alone, so abandoned, but that night on the road had led her here into the car of a stranger who now seemed like her only lifeline. Emma shakes her head, pushing the memories aside for the moment. She looks up as James enters the cafe, his tall frame easily visible in the doorway. He spots her immediately and walks over to her table with a smile. "Mind if I join you?" he asks, his voice casual but polite. Emma nods, gesturing to the empty seat across from her. "Sure," she replies, offering a tentative smile. James sits down, his expression thoughtful as he takes in her quiet demeanor. For a moment, they sit in silence, both of them lost in their own thoughts. But the quiet is comfortable, not awkward. Finally, James speaks again, his voice soft. "You don't have to talk about it, but I can tell something's been weighing on you for a long time." He leans forward slightly, his gaze steady. "Whatever it is, I'm here to listen." Emma looks at him for a long moment, her heart racing. She's not sure why she feels this sudden pull to share her past with him, this man who barely knows her. But there's something about his presence that makes her feel like it's safe to open up, even if just a little. She takes a deep breath and looks down at her hands. "It's just, life hasn't been easy," she says quietly. "I've had to deal with a lot. And sometimes it feels like I'm running out of time, like I don't know where I'm supposed to go next." James listens intently, his eyes never leaving her face. He doesn't interrupt, doesn't rush her. He simply waits, allowing her to speak when she's ready. Emma sighs, the weight of her words heavier than she expected. She swirls the coffee in her cup, watching the liquid ripple. "I don't have anyone," she says softly. "My family, they all have their own lives, and my ex-husband. He was supposed to be the one I could rely on. But he was never really there. I was alone for so long." James leans back in his chair, taking in her words. "You don't have to be alone anymore," he says, his voice steady. "If you ever need a place to stay, or just someone to talk to, I'm here. You can count on me." Emma looks up at him, surprised by his sincerity. For a moment, she feels a flicker of hope, something she hasn't felt in years. But she quickly suppresses it, not sure if she's ready to let herself believe in it. "Thank you," she says softly, her voice filled with a quiet gratitude. "I don't know what I would have done without you today." James smiles, his eyes kind. "Sometimes all we need is a little help. You don't have to face everything on your own." The weight of the moment settles between them, and Emma feels the barriers she's built around her heart start to crumble just a little bit more. For the first time in a long while, she begins to believe that maybe, just maybe, things could get better. The following days blur into a mix of new experiences and familiar fears for Emma. She starts working at the company, her first real job in years, and though the work is demanding, it gives her a sense of purpose that she hasn't felt in a long time. James continues to be supportive, always offering a helping hand when she needs it, but there's an unspoken distance between them. Emma doesn't quite feel ready to allow anyone to get too close, especially after everything she's been through. Yet, in small, quiet moments, she can't help but feel a pull toward James, a connection that she's never had with anyone before. One afternoon, James invites Emma to his office. "I've been thinking about your situation," he says over the phone. "I want to help you get back on your feet. I know it's not much, but how about we sit down and talk about what comes next?" Emma feels a knot of hesitation in her chest. What could James possibly want from her? He's been kind, maybe too kind, but she spent so much time shielding herself from people who seemed too good to be true. She agrees reluctantly, not wanting to seem ungrateful, and arranges to meet him at his office later that day. When she walks into his office building, she's struck by the contrast between her worn, humble appearance and the polished luxury that surrounds her. The marble floors gleam under her feet as she's escorted to the elevator by a quiet receptionist who gives her an odd, but polite, smile. The doors close, and Emma's nerves flare again. This was a world she never imagined she'd be a part of. As the elevator ascends, Emma feels a wave of discomfort wash over her. Her thoughts race. What does James expect from her? Why is he helping her like this? She grips the sides of the elevator, trying to calm herself, but her breath comes faster with each passing floor. The elevator dings, and the doors open to a sleek, glass-walled office. James is standing behind a large desk, papers neatly stacked. In front of him, his dark suit contrasts sharply with the minimalistic decor, and the light streaming in from the floor-to-ceiling windows highlights his sharp features. When he looks up, his eyes soften. "Hey, Emma," he greets her, standing and extending a hand toward her. "It's good to see you. Please take a seat." Emma hesitates, but then moves toward the desk, lowering herself into the plush chair across from him. She tries to steady her breathing, but there's a subtle tension in her chest. She's not sure what to expect from this conversation, but she knows that her life is on the verge of change, one way or another. James, sensing her unease, leans back in his chair. "I know this might feel overwhelming, but I want you to know that you don't have to do anything you're not ready for. We're just here to talk, okay?" She nods, but the walls she so carefully built remain in place. She doesn't know how to explain her hesitation. How do you trust someone who seems so perfect when the world around you has been nothing but chaos and disappointment? "I've been thinking about ways I can help you get back on track." James continues, his tone calm and steady. "You've shown a lot of potential, Emma. The company could really use someone like you. So, I'd like to offer you a position here. It's not much to start, but it's something." Emma blinks, taken aback. She wasn't expecting this. She had expected a polite offer of temporary assistance, not a full-time position at a successful company. She feels a wave of disbelief wash over her. I don't know what to say." She stammers, unsure if she should be excited or terrified. James smiles. "You don't have to say anything. Just think it over. You've got the skills, the determination, and honestly, I think you deserve a chance. You can start working at your own pace." Emma's heart beats a little faster. She's never had someone offer her an opportunity like this. In a way, it feels like a lifeline, something she never thought she'd get, something she never thought she deserved. But she's also terrified. What if she messes up? What if she's not good enough? "Take your time," James says gently. And whatever you decide, know that I'm here to help. I just want to see you succeed." Emma doesn't know what to say, so she stays silent, processing the unexpected turn her life has taken. She had come here hoping for a little guidance, a little support, but now she's faced with an opportunity she never imagined. After a long pause, Emma finally speaks. "Thank you. I don't know if I'm ready for all of this, but I'll think about it." James nods, not pushing her. "Of course. No pressure. I'm here when you're ready." As Emma walks out of the office building later that day, her mind is racing. She's been given a chance, a real one. But at what cost? And is she ready for it? The next few weeks fly by in a blur of early mornings, new routines, and unexpected challenges for Emma. The job at James's company turns out to be more than she could have ever imagined. The work is hard, but she feels a sense of accomplishment every time she finishes a task, and the coworkers, though distant at first, begin to warm up to her. Still, something is different. Despite the financial stability and the sense of direction her new job brings, Emma can't shake the nagging feeling that her life isn't as simple as it seems. She and James continue to interact, though mostly in passing. He's busy, always immersed in meetings and phone calls, but there's an understanding between them. He checks in on her from time to time, offering advice and small gestures of kindness. But Emma, still uncertain of her place in this new world, keeps her distance emotionally. One afternoon, Emma finds herself in the company's break room, sipping coffee and trying to collect her thoughts. It's a rare, quiet moment in her otherwise hectic day. Her phone buzzes in her bag, pulling her out of her thoughts. She pulls it out to see a message from a number she doesn't recognize. The message reads, "We need to talk. Meet me at the usual place. It's about your ex." Emma's heart skips a beat. She hadn't heard from Liam in months, and she wasn't sure she wanted to. He had been part of the nightmare she had left behind, a constant source of fear and anxiety. She hadn't expected him to reach out again, especially not now. When she was trying to rebuild her life, her thoughts swirl as she stares at the message, torn between her desire to confront her past and the fear of what it might bring. With a sigh, she pockets the phone, the weight of the decision heavy on her shoulders. There's a part of her that knows she can't move forward until she faces the past, but another part of her is terrified that reopening that door will shatter everything she's worked for. After some internal debate, Emma decides to go. She needs closure, or at least to understand why Liam is contacting her now. The sun is beginning to set as Emma drives to the meeting spot, an old, run-down diner on the outskirts of town. She hasn't been here in years, but the memories flood back the moment she steps inside. The musty smell of coffee, the flicker of the neon lights outside, and the dingy booths that remind her of days spent hiding from the world, afraid of what might come next. She sees Liam sitting at a booth in the far corner, his back turned to her. His posture is stiff, his body language cold. He doesn't look up when she enters, but Emma can feel his eyes on her as she walks toward him. She stops at the booth, her breath catching in her chest. "Liam," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam doesn't respond immediately. He takes a long sip of his coffee, his eyes lingering on the cup for a moment, longer than necessary. Finally he meets her gaze, his expression unreadable. "I didn't think you'd actually show up," he says, his voice flat, distant. Emma takes a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. "You said you wanted to talk." Liam leans back in his seat, his face hardening. "It's about James." Emma's heart sinks. She hadn't expected Liam to bring him up, and for a moment, she wishes she'd never come. But she stays rooted to the spot, her curiosity getting the better of her. "What about him?" Liam smirks, a bitter, cynical look on his face. "You think he's really helping you? He's not some knight in shining armor, Emma. He's using you." Emma recoils, the words hitting her like a slap in the face. "What are you talking about?" "James has been nothing but kind to me. He's helped me when no one else would. Liam leans forward, his eyes narrowing. He doesn't do anything without a reason. People like him don't help people like you unless they want something in return. You're nothing more than a pawn in his game, Emma. Emma's anger flares, her pulse quickening. She doesn't know what game Liam is playing, but she won't let him manipulate her anymore. You don't get to tell me who James is, she snaps, her voice firm. You have no idea what he's done for me, or what he's trying to do. You lost your chance to control me a long time ago. Liam's expression falters for a moment, but he quickly regains his composure. I'm just trying to protect you. You're better off without him. You always were. Emma stares at him for a long moment, trying to read his face, but there's nothing there. He's a stranger to her now, a man who once held power over her, but no longer. She stands up abruptly, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. I'm done with this conversation, she says coldly, not looking back as she walks out. As she steps outside, the cool evening air hits her face, and she takes a deep breath, feeling the weight of the confrontation begin to lift. She knows. Liam's words are just his attempt to manipulate her again, but they still sting. She thought she was over him, but his presence, his toxic influence, still has the power to shake her. Back in the office the next day, Emma is distracted, her mind lingering on the conversation with Liam. She tries to focus on her work, but it's hard to shake the unease gnawing at her. She hasn't shared the details with James, but a part of her wonders if she should. Could he be right? Was James really using her for something? Or is Liam just trying to ruin her chance at happiness? She doesn't know the answers, but she's determined to find out. For the first time in a long time, Emma feels like she's at a crossroads. Her past is still casting a shadow over her, but with James's help, she might be able to move forward, finally put the pieces of her life back together. But as she continues her work that day, the questions keep swirling in her mind. Unanswered. The next few days are tense for Emma. She can feel the weight of her conversation with Liam lingering, casting a shadow over everything. Despite the reassurance from James, she can't shake the doubt that has begun to creep into her mind. Was Liam right? Was James really as altruistic as he seemed? Or was he simply using her for some unknown purpose? The thought gnaws at her, especially as she notices the subtle ways James continues to help her, always just a little bit more than anyone else would. Always with a careful, almost too thoughtful demeanor. The change in Emma is evident. At work, she's quieter, more withdrawn. She continues to excel at her job, but there's a shift in her demeanor. James notices the change immediately, but he doesn't press her. Instead, he takes a step back, giving her the space she needs, but making sure she knows he's there when she's ready to talk. One evening, as the office empties out and the sky darkens outside, James walks over to Emma's desk. She's hunched over her computer, eyes glued to the screen, though her mind is clearly elsewhere. He watches her for a moment, his heart heavy with concern. Emma, James begins gently, his voice breaking the silence between them. I know something's been bothering you. I can tell you've been distant, and I just want you to know that I'm here for you, no matter what. Emma's hand hovers over the keyboard, but she doesn't type. Instead, she exhales a shaky breath, her shoulders slumping slightly. She doesn't want to talk about it. She doesn't want to seem weak, to reveal how deeply she's struggling with the fear of being deceived again. But she's been carrying this burden alone for too long, and the weight of it is starting to suffocate her. She turns to face him, her eyes searching his face for any sign of dishonesty, any crack in the mask he's been wearing. James, I need to ask you something, she says, her voice barely above a whisper. James nods, his expression unwavering. Anything, you know that. Emma hesitates, unsure of how to phrase the question, but she knows she has to ask it. Why? Are you helping me? Really helping me? I've been I've been thinking about it a lot lately, and I just don't understand. People like you don't do things like this for people like me. So what's your angle? James is quiet for a long moment, the air between them thick with unspoken tension. He could easily deflect, give her a simple answer, but he knows this moment is more important than any quick excuse or shallow answer. He looks into her eyes, his gaze soft yet intense. "I'm not using you, Emma," he says finally, his voice low and steady. "I want to help you because you deserve it. You've been through so much, and I see how hard you're working to build your life back up. I know it's hard to believe, but I'm not asking for anything in return." Emma looks at him, her heart racing. She wants to believe him, but the scars from her past still run deep, and trusting someone feels impossible. Then why does it feel like there's something I'm not seeing? Why does it feel like there's something you're holding back? James takes a deep breath, his expression softening. He steps closer to her desk, his presence steady and calm. "I understand why you're questioning it, Emma, but the truth is, I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes, and I don't expect you to just trust me without reason, but I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere." The sincerity in his voice, the way he's looking at her with nothing but genuine care, makes Emma feel something she hasn't allowed herself to feel in a long time: hope. She can't let herself fully trust yet, but there's something about James's words that makes her wonder if maybe, just maybe, she's been wrong to doubt him. "I'm sorry," Emma says, her voice cracking slightly. I don't know how to trust anyone anymore. I've been hurt too many times." James nods, understanding more than she knows. "You don't have to apologize. Trust isn't easy. But I'm willing to earn it, Emma. Every day, if that's what it takes." Emma looks at him for a long moment, her heart heavy with the weight of her own doubts. She wants to believe him. She wants to believe that there's still a chance for her to find peace, to build something real with someone who truly cares. But the fear of being betrayed again holds her back. "Thank you," she whispers, her voice full of quiet gratitude. I just need some time." James smiles softly. "Take all the time you need. I'll be here." The next few days feel like a turning point for Emma. She continues to work hard, and the weight of her doubts slowly starts to lift, bit by bit. She opens up more to her coworkers, allowing herself to enjoy small moments of connection that she's avoided for so long. But in the quiet moments, when the office is empty and she's left alone with her thoughts, she finds herself questioning everything. One day, as she's walking to her car after work, Emma spots James talking to a man in a dark suit by the entrance. He's holding a briefcase, and James's body language is stiff, formal. As she gets closer, she overhears a snippet of their conversation. "Are we ready to move forward with the plan?" The man asks, his voice low and serious. James nods, his expression unreadable. "Yes, everything is in place. We'll proceed as planned." Emma freezes, her heart skipping a beat. What plan? She doesn't know why, but something about their conversation feels off. As she watches them, a chill runs down her spine. She tells herself it's nothing, that she's overthinking it. But deep down, she can't shake the nagging feeling that something is happening behind the scenes, something she's not being told. The next few days become a whirlwind of activity. For Emma, at work, she dives deeper into her responsibilities, slowly gaining the respect of her colleagues. James continues to offer subtle support, guiding her when needed and encouraging her to take on more challenging tasks. But despite the progress she's making, there's an unease gnawing at her. Her mind is consumed with the conversation she overheard between James and the man in the suit. The words "the plan" keep echoing in her head. What was James involved in? Why had he been so secretive? Emma can't shake the feeling that she's been kept in the dark about something important. She tries to push the thought aside, convincing herself that she's just being paranoid. After all, James has been nothing but kind to her, and for the first time in a long time, She's starting to feel like her life is finally turning a corner, but something keeps bothering her. A sense of disquiet that refuses to go away. One evening, after a long day at work, Emma receives a call from a private number. She hesitates for a moment before answering, unsure of who it could be. "Hello?" she says cautiously. "Is this Emma?" A man's voice asks, smooth but unfamiliar. "I need to talk to you about James." Emma's heart skips a beat. "Who is this?" she asks, her voice sharp with suspicion. "I can't give you my name right now, but you need to listen to me. James is not who he says he is. He's involved in something far bigger than you think," the voice says urgently. "You're in danger, Emma. You need to be careful." Before Emma can respond, the line goes dead. She stands there in shock, staring at her phone. Danger? What was this man talking about? And why had he specifically mentioned James? She feels her stomach twist with anxiety. This conversation, coupled with the strange meeting she witnessed a few days ago, makes her wonder if there's more to James's story than he's let on. The next day, Emma can't focus. She finds herself distracted at work, replaying the conversation over and over in her mind. The more she thinks about it, the more she realizes that there are too many unanswered questions. What plan had James been talking about? And why did it feel like there were parts of his life he was deliberately keeping from her? That afternoon, Emma decides to take matters into her own hands. She begins to research James's company online, digging through articles, press releases, and company reports. As she searches, a pattern begins to emerge, a string of vague references to secretive business deals, partnerships with shadowy corporations, and whispers of large-scale projects that don't quite add up. The more she reads, the more it becomes clear that James is involved in something far more complicated and dangerous than he's let on. But there's no clear evidence to tie him directly to anything illegal. At least not yet. Then, she stumbles upon something that makes her blood run cold. An article dated back 5 years ago, detailing a massive corporate scandal involving a company James had once been affiliated with. The scandal involved unethical experimentation, something about using human subjects in highly classified research projects. Emma's hands shake as she reads the article. The details are murky, but one name stands out: Project K21. The article mentions that the project was shut down after a whistleblower leaked information about it. But there's no mention of what happened to the people involved or whether the project's goals were ever fully realized. Emma's thoughts race. Could this be what James was talking about? Could the plan he mentioned be related to this project? She feels like she's onto something, but the pieces aren't fitting together. That evening, Emma decides to confront James. She's tired of the uncertainty, tired of the fear gnawing at her every moment. She needs answers, and she's determined to get them. She waits until the office is nearly empty, the quiet hum of the fluorescent lights overhead the only sound in the building. When James walks into the office, surprised to see her still there, Emma takes a deep breath and stands up. "James," she says, her voice firm, but her heart pounding in her chest. "I need to know the truth. What's going on? What are you involved in?" James stops in his tracks, his eyes narrowing slightly. "Emma," he says, his tone cautious, "what are you talking about?" Emma steps forward, holding up her phone, showing him the article she found. "I found this. And I've heard things about you, about Project K21, about the things you've been involved in. Why didn't you tell me?" For a long moment, James doesn't speak. His expression is unreadable, his jaw tense. Then, finally, he sighs deeply and sits down at his desk, his hand rubbing his temples. "Emma," he begins, his voice low, "I never wanted you to find out like this." "Find out what?" she presses, her voice rising. "That you've been lying to me this whole time? That you're involved in something dangerous?" James looks at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of frustration and regret. "It's not that simple. I can't explain everything to you right now. But what you're reading, what you're thinking, it's not the whole story. Yes, I was involved in Project K21, but that's over. I left it behind, Emma. I didn't want that life anymore. I wanted to make things right. Emma's head spins as she listens to his words. The truth is elusive, slipping through her fingers with every explanation he gives. She doesn't know if she can believe him. She doesn't know if she wants to believe him, make things right. Emma echoes. By using me as a pawn in whatever game you're playing? How am I supposed to trust you now, James? He stands up and walks toward her, his voice pleading now. You have to believe me. I didn't want you involved in any of this. But when I met you, when I saw how strong and capable you are, I realized that you could be part of something much bigger than anything I ever did. I want to build something better, Emma, something that makes up for the mistakes I've made. Emma shakes her head, her emotions swirling. I don't know what to believe anymore, she whispers, her voice breaking. James reaches for her, his hand gently resting on her arm. Emma, please, he says softly. Give me a chance to prove it. I know I've lied to you, but I swear to you, I'm not the man I was. I'm not trying to hurt you. The weight of his touch sends a shiver down Emma's spine. She wants to believe him. She really does. But her heart tells her she's been burned too many times before. The days that follow Emma's confrontation with James are tense. She keeps herself busy at work, burying her emotions beneath piles of tasks, but she can't shake the lingering doubt in her mind. Every time she sees James, there's a flicker of that same unease from the day he first walked into her life, a feeling that she's being drawn into, something she doesn't fully understand. She spent her entire life protecting herself, and now, for the first time, someone is asking her to trust them. The problem is, she's been let down by everyone she ever trusted, including Liam. And now James's cryptic past and the shadow of Project K21 loom over her, casting a dark cloud over the fragile trust they've begun to build. One evening, after another long day at the office, Emma finds herself alone in the break room. The fluorescent lights above buzz quietly, and the smell of stale coffee lingers in the air. She's staring at her phone, lost in thought, when her screen flashes with a notification from an unfamiliar number. Curious, she opens the message. It reads, I know what you found. Meet me at the park. There's more to this than you think. Don't trust him. Her heart races, a cold chill running down her spine. Who was this? Why were they trying to warn her? The message feels like a threat, but Emma can't ignore it. If there's more to this story, more to James that she hasn't been told, she needs to know. She grabs her coat and leaves the office, her mind spinning with questions and fear. The city streets are empty as she walks, the cool night air biting at her skin. The park is a few blocks away, quiet and isolated, the perfect place for a secret meeting. When she arrives, the park is bathed in the pale light of a flickering street lamp. The trees sway gently in the breeze, casting long shadows on the ground. Emma scans the area, her senses heightened, her heart beating faster with every passing second. She doesn't have to wait long before a figure emerges from the darkness. A man, tall and cloaked in a long jacket, steps into the dim light. He's older, with graying hair and a stern face, but his eyes are sharp. Calculating. Emma, he says, his voice low and purposeful. I'm glad you came. Emma takes a cautious step back. Who are you? What do you want? The man glances around, making sure no one else is nearby. He takes a deep breath before answering. I worked with James. I was involved in Project K21, but I'm not like him. I couldn't live with what we were doing. The experiments, the manipulation, it was all wrong. And now you're caught in the middle of it. Emma feels her heart race as the man speaks. What are you talking about? She demands. What did James do? Is he still involved in this project? The man nods gravely. James was one of the key people behind it. He didn't just work with them, he led the operation for years. But he left when things got too dangerous. What you've been hearing, what he told you, that's just part of the story. He's lying to you, Emma. The truth is much darker. Emma stumbles backward, her mind reeling. No, that's impossible. He said it was over. He said he wanted to make things right. The man's eyes harden. Don't let him fool you. The project didn't end. It's still going. And James is involved. I don't know how deep it goes, but I'm telling you, Emma, James is hiding something from you. You need to be careful. If you stay close to him, you'll be dragged back into the same thing I tried to escape. Emma's chest tightens as the weight of his words sinks in. She doesn't know whether to believe him, but a part of her feels like he's telling the truth. It makes too much sense. The secrecy, the strange behavior, the way James's past seems to be closing in on her. Now. The man steps closer, lowering his voice. I've been following James for a while, trying to find out where this all leads. He's been in contact with people from his past, people I thought were long gone. They're still pulling the strings, Emma. And now, they're coming after you. Emma feels a wave of panic flood over her. What do you mean, coming after me? He pauses, his eyes filled with a mix of pity and regret. You're too close to the truth. They're watching you. They'll do anything to keep you quiet. I've seen it before. People who get too close end up disappearing. The words hit Emma like a punch to the gut. She feels a cold shiver run down her spine. She's been trying to rebuild her life, to make sense of everything that's happened. And now it feels like it's all falling apart again. She can't let herself be swept up in this nightmare. Not again. I don't want to be part of this anymore, she says, her voice trembling with the weight of her fear. I don't want anything to do with him, with this project. I just want to live my life. The man nods, his face softening. I understand. But you have to make a choice. Emma, walk away now or stay in the fight. But know that once you know the truth, there's no going back. They'll come after you no matter what you do. Emma stands frozen for a long moment, her heart pounding in her chest. The weight of everything she's just learned presses down on her like a heavy burden. She looks at the man, her mind racing with thoughts of James, his kindness, his sincerity, and the secrets he's been hiding from her. She takes a deep breath, her voice steady as she speaks. I'll figure this out. I'll find out what's really going on. The man nods. Be careful, Emma. And remember, James is not who he appears to be. The meeting ends abruptly, and Emma walks away from the park with a heavy heart. Her mind is clouded with the revelation that James isn't the man she thought he was. Every moment she spent with him, every kind gesture, now feels like a carefully crafted mask hiding the truth. But the most unsettling part of all is the realization that she's caught in the middle of something much bigger than herself, a conspiracy that could destroy everything she's worked so hard to build. As she walks through the dark streets, Emma's thoughts are a storm of confusion and fear. She knows she can't ignore the warning, but she also knows she has to confront James. She can't live with the uncertainty hanging over her. Not anymore. And so she prepares herself for what comes next. The truth is out there, and Emma is determined to uncover it, no matter what it costs her. The night is thick with tension as Emma walks back to her apartment, her mind spinning. The encounter at the park has left her feeling more uncertain than ever, the man's cryptic warnings echoing in her mind. What was James hiding? Could she really trust him? Or was she just another pawn in his dangerous game? The possibility of betrayal hangs in the air like a dark cloud, and she knows she has to confront him. By the time Emma reaches her apartment, the weight of everything seems unbearable. She has spent too much time running from the truth, too much time pretending everything is fine. Now, she can't keep ignoring the fear that has crept into her heart. She can't keep pretending that James doesn't have secrets that could tear everything apart. She takes a deep breath. her hand gripping the doorknob of her apartment as she prepares herself. Tonight, she will demand the answers she deserves. She won't back down. Not this time. Emma pulls out her phone and dials James's number. The phone rings once, twice, and then he answers, his voice warm and calm, as if nothing has changed. "Emma," he says, sounding surprised but pleased. "Is everything okay?" "I need to talk to you," she replies, her voice steady but firm. "In person, now." James is silent for a moment, and Emma could almost feel the gears turning in his head. He knows something's wrong, but he doesn't know how much she knows. "Of course," he says, his tone softening. "Where are you?" "I'll be at the office," she says, hanging up before he can say anything more. When Emma arrives at James's office, the building feels colder than usual. The lobby is empty, and the lights flicker slightly above her head as she walks toward the elevator. She presses the button and waits, her heartbeat quickening with every passing second. This is it. She's finally going to face the truth, whatever it may be. The elevator dings and the doors slide open, and Emma steps inside. As the elevator ascends, she takes a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. She's been preparing herself for this moment for days, but now that it's here, it feels even more overwhelming than she expected. The elevator doors open on the top floor, and Emma steps out into the familiar pristine hallway. The door to James's office is ajar, and she pushes it open without knocking. James is sitting behind his desk, his back to her as he looks over some papers. He doesn't turn around immediately, but when he does, his eyes lock onto hers, and for a moment, there's an unsettling silence between them. "Emma," he says, standing up slowly, "I wasn't expecting you here. Is everything okay?" The silence that follows James's admission lingers in the air like a thick fog. Emma looks at him, her eyes searching for any sign that he's being honest, any hint of vulnerability. But there's nothing, just the same cold, calculating look she's seen so many times before. He's hiding something, and now, more than ever, she needs to know what it is. "I can't just walk away from this." "James," Emma says, her voice steady but filled with a new resolve. "I've already gotten too close. You don't get to decide for me anymore." James's expression hardens, but there's a flicker of something, guilt maybe. "Emma, you don't understand what you're getting yourself into. The people I've worked with, the things we've done, they're dangerous. I never wanted you to get caught up in this." "I don't care what you wanted," Emma replies, her words sharp, her voice trembling with anger and fear. "You didn't think about me when you kept lying to me. You didn't think about me when you dragged me into this world. I don't care if it's dangerous. I need to know the truth." There's a long pause as James seems to weigh his options. And Emma watches him, her heart pounding in her chest. For the first time, she's not afraid of him. She's not afraid of the truth. She just needs to know where she stands. James takes a deep breath, and his shoulders slump slightly. "All right," he says, his voice low. "I'll tell you everything. But you need to understand, Emma, that once you know, there's no going back. You'll be a part of it whether you like it or not." Later that night, James takes Emma to a hidden office, one that even she has never seen. The walls are lined with files, maps, and strange documents, all detailing various projects, none of them good. As they step inside, Emma feels a chill run down her spine. This place, this office, is where it all started. This is where the real work was done, the work James never wanted her to see. He pulls out a thick folder and hands it to Emma. She opens it, her hands trembling, and begins to skim through the pages. The documents are filled with diagrams, data, and references to Project K21, the project that, until now, Emma only knew about in fragments. "It wasn't just a research project," James says quietly. "It was an experiment. A way to harness human biology for profit, for power. The goal was to develop genetically modified organisms to extract biological fluids, red fluids, from humans. They used children, Emma. Kids just like you and me. Emma's breath catches in her throat. She looks up at him, her mind spinning, trying to process the horror of what he's just revealed. Children? She whispers, barely able to say. The word. James nods, his face grim. Yes, they used them for testing. And not just any children who were genetically predisposed to tolerate the modifications. Ellie, he pauses, as if the name is a weight on his tongue. Ellie is one of them. She was targeted for this project. Emma's world tilts on its axis. Her chest tightens as she recalls the red marks on Ellie's skin, the strange, unsettling creatures under her pillow. It all makes sense now, too much sense. You knew? You knew what they were doing to her? I didn't know at first, James admits, his voice filled with regret. I thought I was just a part of a business deal, that it was all just science. But as I got deeper into it, I realized how wrong it all was. And I tried to stop it. I left when I found out, but by then, it was already too late. Ellie had already been exposed. And I couldn't get her out of it. Emma feels the weight of his words, the crushing realization that everything she's worked for, everything she's tried to build with James, is based on lies. She closes the folder with shaking hands, struggling to keep her composure. Why didn't you tell me any of this? She asks, her voice hoarse, barely able to get the words out. Why didn't you tell me the truth? Why did you keep me in the dark? James looks at her, his expression filled with sorrow. Because I thought I could protect you. I thought I could shield you from all of this, from the mess I made. But I was wrong. I was selfish. The weight of his admission hits Emma like a punch to the gut. She feels betrayed, crushed under the weight of the truth that's been kept from her. And yet, despite everything, she feels a strange pull toward him, toward the man who's been part of the darkness, but who is now, somehow, trying to make it right. Can we fix this? Emma asks quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. Can we stop it? Can we make this right? James looks at her, his eyes filled with uncertainty. I don't know, he admits. But I'll do everything I can to try. For you, for Ellie, for all of us. As Emma walks out of the hidden office later that night, she feels like she's standing at a crossroads, a moment that could change everything. She now knows the truth. The darkness that James has been hiding is real, and it's dangerous. But there's still a part of her, no matter how broken it is, that wants to believe in him. She wants to believe that he's not the same man who walked into her life with secrets, that he's trying to atone for the mistakes he's made. But the road ahead is unclear. The fight is only just beginning. And Emma knows that the choices she makes from here on out will determine not just her future, but the future of everyone she's come to care about. As she steps out into the cold night air, the weight of the decision presses on her shoulders. She doesn't know what the future holds, but she knows one thing for sure: she won't let herself be a pawn in anyone's game again. The fight for her own life, for Ellie's safety, and for the truth has only just begun. The days following the revelation of James's past are filled with tension. Emma is torn between the man she's come to know and the horrifying truth he's revealed. She knows she can't just walk away, too much is at stake, and the darkness she's uncovered is too deep to ignore. But she also knows she can't blindly trust James anymore. Every decision, every word, every move now feels like a gamble. The more she learns, the more dangerous everything becomes. She spends her nights researching, poring over the documents James reluctantly showed her, trying to piece together the fragments of truth that still elude her. Project K21, the red fluid, the children used in unethical experiments, it's all connected. And the more she digs, the more she realizes that James isn't the only one responsible. There are far more people involved, powerful people, who will stop at nothing to protect their interests. One evening, As Emma is about to leave the office, she receives a message from James. It's simple. I need to talk to you. Meet me at the warehouse, now. Emma hesitates. She's been to that warehouse before, and it's where everything began. The place where secrets were hidden and truths were uncovered. She knows that whatever James wants to say now will change everything. But she's not afraid anymore. If she's going to keep moving forward, she needs to face this head on. She grabs her coat and heads out into the night, the cold air biting at her skin as she walks toward the warehouse. The city is eerily quiet, the streets empty and dark, as if the world itself is holding its breath. When she arrives, she doesn't wait for James to open the door. She pushes it open herself, her pulse quickening with each step she takes. Inside, James stands waiting for her. His posture is tense, his face drawn with a deep concern. "Emma," he says quietly, his voice low and serious. "We need to talk." Emma steps closer, her heart racing. "What is it, James? What's going on?" He looks at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of regret and something else, fear, maybe. "I've been keeping something from you. Something I thought I could protect you from, but it's getting worse. The people behind Project K21, they won't stop until they get what they want, and they're coming for you." Emma feels her blood run cold at his words. "What do you mean, coming for me?" she asks, her voice shaking with both fear and disbelief. "They know you're getting too close," James says, his voice tense. "They've been tracking you, watching your every move. And now they know you're involved with me. They think you're a threat." Emma's breath catches in her throat. "A threat? But I haven't done anything. I'm just trying to survive. What do they want from me?" James steps forward, his expression pained. "They want you to disappear. They'll do anything to silence you, to make sure you don't expose the truth. They've already done it to others. People who got too close, people who thought they could stop them." Emma shakes her head, trying to absorb everything James is telling her. "And what about you?" she asks, her voice rising. "What do you plan to do about it? Are you going to stand by and let this happen?" James looks away, his gaze distant. "I don't have much control over it, Emma, but I've been trying to make up for the mistakes I made. I'm not the same person I was back then, and I won't let them hurt you." She searches his face, looking for any sign of truth in his words. Part of her wants to believe him, but another part of her feels like she's walking into a trap. "You're telling me that these people are going to come after me, after both of us, and you're just going to stand here and say it's going to be okay? James, I can't do this anymore. I can't live in fear." He steps closer, his voice pleading. "Emma, please. I'm not asking you to do this alone. I want to help you. I know I've made mistakes, but I'm trying to fix them. You don't have to face this by yourself." The tension in the room grows thick, and Emma's mind spins with the choices before her. She's already deep into this. The danger is real, and there's no turning back now. She's been lied to, manipulated, and used, but she knows that walking away would mean abandoning the truth, abandoning everything she's fought for. She takes a deep breath, her decision becoming clear. "If we're going to stop this, James, I need you to trust me. We need to work together. No more secrets, no more lies. I can't be a pawn anymore. This ends now." James's eyes flicker with something close to relief. "You're right," he says, his voice quiet but firm. "No more lies. We'll do this together." Later that night, they sit in the small, dimly lit office, a plan slowly beginning to take shape. They go over the details of the operation, the people involved, and the risk of exposing everything. The more they talk, the more Emma realizes how much James is willing to put on the line for her, for them. She feels a sense of purpose she hasn't felt in years. James pulls out a folder filled with documents and confidential files, details of the people behind Project K21. the corporations funding it, and the connections they've carefully built over the years. Emma looks through the papers, her mind racing. This is it, the chance to expose everything. To bring down the people who've been controlling her life. Without her even knowing it. But just as she begins to feel the weight of the plan settling in, her phone buzzes on the desk. It's a text from an unknown number. "We know what you're planning. You're too late." Emma's heart drops into her stomach as she stares at the message. The realization hits her like a brick. They've been discovered. And now, the fight. For her life and the truth will begin. The air feels thick with tension as Emma and James prepare to execute their plan. The files they've uncovered, the people they've identified, and the trail they've followed all lead them to one final destination. The people behind Project K21. But even as they gather their strength, the looming question remains. Can they trust each other enough to survive this? The night before they're supposed to make their move, Emma lies awake in her small apartment. She's exhausted from the constant fear, the sleepless nights spent researching, planning, and fighting. Against an enemy she's only begun to understand. But there's no turning back now. She's too close. The truth is within her reach, and she's not about to let it slip through her fingers. Her phone buzzes on the nightstand. It's an encrypted message from James. "Meet me at the location. We do this tonight. For good." She doesn't hesitate. With a deep breath, she grabs her jacket, forces herself to stand, and heads out into the night. When Emma arrives at the designated location, an abandoned industrial complex on the edge of town, the place feels eerily quiet. The buildings stand like skeletons in the moonlight, broken windows and rusted doors giving off an air of neglect. It's the perfect cover for the shady dealings that have been happening within its walls for years. But now it's the battleground where everything will come to a head. James is already there, standing near the entrance, his silhouette barely visible in the shadows. He looks up as Emma approaches, his expression unreadable, his body tense. "You ready?" he asks, his voice steady but laced with urgency. Emma nods. "Let's finish this." Together, they enter the complex, moving cautiously through the dark corridors. Emma can hear the sound of her heart pounding in her chest, each step closer to the truth, increasing the fear inside her. But she knows she can't turn back. Not now. They reach the inner office, a sleek, secure space with high-tech monitors and screens lining the walls. Emma's breath catches as she steps inside, taking in the sight of the people she's been hunting for. Powerful businessmen, scientists, and government officials all gathered around a table, discussing their next move. James steps forward, his face hardening as he recognizes the figures in the room. "This is it," he whispers to Emma. "These are the ones who've been pulling the strings. They're the ones who need to pay for what they've done." Before Emma can respond, a voice interrupts them. Well, a man says from behind them. "Look who decided to show up." Emma spins around to see the man she least expects, Liam. Her ex-husband, standing in the doorway, a smug smile on his face. He's dressed in a sharp suit, but the air around him feels colder than ever. "Liam," Emma says, her voice dripping with disbelief. "What are you doing here?" Liam chuckles, darkly stepping into the room. "You think you can expose us? You think you can just waltz in here and take down everything I've worked for? You're nothing but a pawn in a much bigger game, Emma." James steps in front of her, his posture protective. "Stay away from her, Liam. This ends now." Liam laughs, his eyes cold. "You think you can stop me? You don't even know the half of it. We've been watching you, Emma. You and James, both of you. You think you're in control, but we've already set everything in motion. This is just the beginning." Before Emma can react, Liam pulls out a phone and hits a button. A loud siren blares through the building, and the sound of heavy footsteps echoes from the hallway. Emma's heart races as she realizes they've walked right into a trap. "Get them," Liam orders, and the door bursts open, revealing a group of armed guards. They move quickly, surrounding Emma and James, their guns raised. Emma feels her stomach drop as the realization sinks in. She's been outplayed. James looks at her, his face filled with regret. "I'm sorry, Emma. I thought I could protect you from all this. I thought I could keep you safe." The guards close in, but before they can make a move, Emma's mind races, thinking of the way out, the way she can still take control. She looks at James one last time, feeling the weight of the decisions they've both made. She knows she has to do something, anything, to make sure this doesn't end in defeat. The tension in the room is unbearable as the guards close in on Emma and James. The alarms continue to blare in the background, adding to the chaos of the moment. Emma's mind races, her heart pounding in her chest, but in the midst of the fear, something inside her clicks. She can't let this be the end. She quickly scans the room, looking for anything that could help them escape. Her eyes fall on the open window above the desk, a small sliver of freedom in an otherwise sealed-off room. It's high, but it's their only chance. "James," she whispers urgently, "the window. We have to get out of here." James looks at her, his expression a mix of shock and understanding. He nods, and together they make a break for the window, pushing past the guards who are too slow to react. The first guard lunges toward Emma, but she ducks out of the way, grabbing a nearby chair and swinging it at him. The guard stumbles back, allowing her and James the moment they need. Emma jumps up, reaching for the window ledge, pulling herself up with James's help. They both scramble through the window just as the guards charge into the room, their weapons raised. With a final push, they're outside, the cold night air rushing past them as they drop to the ground. James lands with a soft thud, his legs buckling beneath him as he struggles to keep his balance. Emma looks back at the warehouse, knowing they've only bought themselves a few moments before the danger catches up to them. "We can't stay here," James says, his voice strained but determined. "Where do we go?" Emma asks, her mind still spinning from the adrenaline. "Anywhere but here," James responds. "We need to disappear. They'll come after us. But we have a chance, Emma. We just have to keep moving." They run, ducking into the shadows, their feet pounding the pavement as the sounds of sirens grow louder in the distance. They know they have to stay ahead of their pursuers. James's past, Liam's betrayal, and the people who want to keep the truth buried are all closing in. But in this moment, as they disappear into the night, they have one thing on their side: the truth, and the determination to fight for it. Emma and James run through the darkened streets, their footsteps echoing in the night. The sound of sirens blares in the distance, getting closer with each passing second. They know they have to keep moving. They can't stop, not now, not when they're so close to uncovering everything. But even as they push forward, the weight of their circumstances presses down on them. They're no longer just running from the people who want to silence them. They're running from everything they've ever known. "We need to get out of the city," James says, his voice breathless as they round a corner. "It's too dangerous here." "I don't care where we go," Emma replies, her voice fierce with determination. "I just want to make sure this ends. I won't let them get away with this." James glances at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of admiration and regret. "I never meant for you to get involved in all this. You didn't deserve any of it." Emma shakes her head, her heart racing with more than just fear. "I'm not running anymore, James. I'm not hiding. This has to end, and I'm going to make sure it does." They manage to lose the first wave of pursuers, ducking into a narrow alley and hiding in the shadows. They're both breathing heavily, trying to calm their racing hearts. The danger is far from over, but for a moment, they have a brief window of peace. James looks at Emma, his expression unreadable. "We need to go to a place where no one can find us. Somewhere safe." Emma nods, her mind racing. "I know someone, a friend. She can help." James raises an eyebrow. "Who?" Her name's Diana, Emma says, her voice firm. She's the one who helped me when I first started trying to figure all of this out. She's with a team that's been investigating these people for years. James's eyes narrow with suspicion. Are you sure we can trust her? Emma meets his gaze, unwavering. Yes, I trust her more than anyone. She's the one person who knows how deep this goes. If anyone can help us expose them, it's her. With no time to waste, Emma leads James to a small, inconspicuous building on the outskirts of town. It's a far cry from the opulent offices James is used to, but in this moment, it feels like the only place they can find any semblance of safety. They knock on the door, and after a moment, a voice calls out from inside. Who is it? It's me, Emma, she responds, her voice steady despite the chaos swirling around them. I need to talk. The door creaks open, revealing Diana tall, with sharp features and a no-nonsense demeanor. Her expression softens when she sees Emma, but when her eyes shift to James, they harden slightly. What's going on? Diana asks, glancing over her shoulder before stepping aside to let them in. Emma steps inside, her heart pounding. We're in trouble. They know everything, and they're coming for us. Diana looks at James, sizing him up before nodding. All right. You two need to stay here for the time being. I'll get things set up. You're not safe out there, not anymore. James looks at her, his voice edged with concern. Who are they, exactly? Who's coming for us? Diana gives him a cold look. It's not just Project K21 anymore. The people behind it are bigger, more powerful than you realize. We're not just dealing with a few corrupt businessmen. We're talking about a network politicians, CEOs, and even people in law enforcement. They'll do whatever it takes to protect their interests. And now they know you've been digging. James's face hardens as he processes the weight of her words. So what do we do now? Diana pulls out a folder from a nearby table and places it in front of them. Now we fight back. I've been tracking their movements for months, but I've never been able to get close enough. With you two, we might have a chance. You can't take them down from the outside anymore. But if we expose them to the right people, if we release everything we've got. Emma looks at her, determination flickering in her eyes. Then it's over. We stop them once and for all. Diana nods, her expression grim. But it won't be easy. We have to be careful. We need more than just information. We need hard proof, video footage. Files, anything we can use to bring them down for good. James's voice is tight with urgency. Where do we start? Diana pauses for a moment, gathering her thoughts. We'll start with the board meetings. They've been hiding everything in plain sight. If we can get into their financial records, their private communications, we'll have everything we need to expose them. Emma looks at her, her voice steady. Let's do it. They spend the next few hours making preparations. Diana contacts her team, assembling a plan to infiltrate the network James and Emma have been investigating. Meanwhile, Emma and James go over their own findings, comparing notes and strategizing their next steps. As they work together, the bond between them grows stronger. James, once a stranger with a hidden agenda, is now someone she's learning to trust, someone who's willing to risk everything for the truth. But Emma knows that this is just the beginning. The fight they're about to face will be the hardest of their lives. The people behind Project K21 are ruthless, and they won't hesitate to destroy anyone who threatens to expose them. As they prepare to launch their plan, Emma looks at James. We're in this together, she says quietly. We can't back down now, James nods, his gaze unwavering. Together, the hours following their meeting with Diana are a blur. The plan to expose Project K21 and bring down those behind it has begun to take shape, but Emma knows that each step forward is filled with risks she and James are willing to take. The knowledge that they're being hunted by people with enormous power adds weight to their every move. They are on the edge of something huge, And there's no going back. Diana has spent the night contacting her team, gathering intel, and setting up secure lines of communication. She's confident in her resources, but even she knows the odds are stacked against them. There's a reason Project K21 was kept hidden for so long. The people involved will stop at nothing to protect it, and they'll destroy anyone who threatens. To expose them, Emma and James sit in the dimly lit safe house, surrounded by papers, files, and digital devices. The tension in the air is palpable as they prepare to launch their attack. The clock is ticking, and they know they don't have much time before the enemy catches wind of their movements. "All right," Diana says, breaking the silence as she stands near the large desk, tapping away at her laptop. "We're in. I've managed to get access to some of their financial records and private communication channels. But we still need one final piece of the puzzle, the meeting that was held last week. That's where the most damning evidence will be." James looks at her, his eyes narrowed in concentration. "How do we get access to it?" "I've already planted a bug in one of their secure systems," Diana replies. "The meeting's on their agenda for tomorrow. We just need to get into the system and pull the files. Once we have them, we can start sending the information to the authorities." Emma's heart races at the thought of finally exposing the people who have been pulling the strings for so long. But she can't ignore the fear that tightens her chest. This is their one shot, and if they fail, there will be no second chances. "Is it safe?" Emma asks, her voice laced with apprehension. "How do we know they won't catch on?" Diana meets her gaze, her expression serious. "It's not foolproof, but we've covered all the bases. We've got firewalls in place, and we'll be using encrypted communications to ensure they can't trace it back to us." "Okay," Emma says, taking a deep breath. "Let's do it. We don't have time to waste." The team works tirelessly through the night, pulling together every resource they can find to ensure the mission is successful. James and Emma are in constant communication with Diana, double-checking the plans and confirming every detail. As the hours tick by, the pressure mounts, but there's no turning back now. By the time the sun begins to rise, the plan is in motion. Diana's team has infiltrated the system, and they're just waiting for the right moment to pull the files they need. Emma's anxiety spikes as the minutes drag on. It feels like the world is holding its breath, waiting for them to make their move. Finally, Diana's voice crackles through their earpieces. "We're in. Pulling the files now. You've got 5 minutes." The words send a rush of adrenaline through Emma's veins. She looks at James, who's standing next to her, his jaw clenched in concentration. The look in his eyes tells her everything. This is it. They're so close. They can taste it. "Ready?" Emma asks, her voice tight. With emotion, James nods, his gaze never leaving the screen. "We'll get this done." The next few minutes pass in a blur. The team pulls the files, and Diana works quickly to encrypt and send the data to multiple secure locations. The information they've uncovered is enough to bring the whole operation to its knees. Evidence of the manipulation, the illegal experiments, and the people involved in the conspiracy is now in their hands. "Files are sent," Diana says. "It's done." Emma exhales, her body finally relaxing after the tension of the past few days. But just as she thinks they've succeeded, the sound of a car engine roaring to life outside shatters the moment. James's eyes widen in recognition. "They've found us," he says, his voice grim. "They're coming." The sound of screeching tires grows louder as a black SUV pulls up to the safe house. The windows are tinted, but Emma can already tell that this isn't just a random car, it's the enemy. They're here, and they've come for them. "Get to the back door," James orders, his voice sharp. He grabs Emma's arm, pulling her toward the exit. They move quickly through the house, but the air is thick with urgency, and Emma feels her heart pounding in her chest. They can't be caught now, not after everything they've done. Not after everything they've uncovered. As they reach the back door, James pauses, turning to Emma. "You go first," he says. "I'll cover you," Emma nods, her mind racing. She doesn't want to leave James behind, but she knows they have no choice. She runs through the back alley, glancing over her shoulder just as James fires a shot to stop the pursuers from following her. She doesn't look back again. She can't afford to. As Emma runs through the darkened streets, she feels the weight of the danger closing in. But there's something else too, the knowledge that they've exposed the truth, that they've taken the first step toward bringing down the people who've been hiding in the shadows. But she knows it's not over yet. The fight is just beginning. The night is thick with tension as Emma sprints through the alley, her heart hammering in her chest. She doesn't dare look back, even though she can hear the sound of boots pounding behind her, echoing through the narrow passageways. She knows they're gaining on her. She can feel the presence of danger creeping closer, the weight of everything she's worked for hanging by a fragile thread. "I can't stop now. I won't stop," Emma thinks, pushing herself harder, her breath coming in short gasps as she rounds a corner. She has no idea where she's going, only that she has to keep moving. She has to get the information to the authorities. She has to make sure the people behind Project K21 are exposed, no matter what. James is still back at the safe house, his gun in hand, keeping the attackers at bay. He's buying Emma the time she needs, but he knows it's only a matter of time before they overwhelm him. He's prepared to die if it means protecting her. But he won't let that happen. Not yet. He can't let Emma face this fight alone. Emma finally reaches the edge of the city, her legs aching, her mind spinning with fear and exhaustion. She doesn't stop running until she sees the familiar outline of a parked car in the distance. It's Diana's car, the one they'll use to escape. She reaches the car, her fingers shaking as she pulls the door open. But just as she slides inside, the sound of a car engine rumbles from behind her. Her heart skips a beat as she turns, seeing a black SUV speeding down the road toward her. "Get in! Get in!" Diana's voice calls out from the front seat, her hand already on the wheel, ready to go. Emma slams the door shut just as the SUV pulls up alongside them. The windows of the black car roll down, and Emma sees the faces of the people who have been hunting her, the same people who've been hiding in the shadows, pulling strings and controlling lives for years. It's Liam, the man she thought she was done with. And standing beside him, with a cold smile on his face, is the last person she expected to see, James's former mentor and the leader of Project K21. "Dr. Harold Knox, I told you this wouldn't end well," Liam sneers, his voice dripping with malice. "You should have stayed out of it, Emma. You should have stayed in your place." Emma's pulse quickens as she locks eyes with James's former mentor, a man whose name she now knows all too well. The same man who has been pulling the strings behind the scenes. The same man who's responsible for the destruction of so many innocent lives. "Get out of the car, Emma," Knox commands, his voice cold and authoritative. "You're making a mistake by running. This is over." Diana's hand tightens on the steering wheel as she locks eyes with Emma. "They'll kill us if we stay here." Emma's breath catches in her throat. She knows this is the moment she's been preparing for. This is the moment she has to decide if she's going to let them win, or if she's going to fight. James, who has been following them in the distance, pulls up in his own car just in time to see the confrontation unfold. He can't let them take Emma. He can't let them win. He jumps out of the car, his gun raised, his voice fierce as he shouts, "Get away from her, you son of a—" Before he can finish his sentence, Knox raises a hand, signaling to his men. Two of them emerge from the SUV, guns raised, ready to take James down. A shot rings out, and the world seems to slow. James ducks behind the car, narrowly avoiding the bullet that hits the ground next to him. Emma's heart stops as she watches the scene unfold before her. The danger is real. and it's closing in on them faster than she can process. She looks at Diana. "Get us out of here," she shouts. Without hesitation, Diana slams her foot on the gas, the car surging forward. The SUV follows, but Emma knows. They have a limited window to escape. "Hold on," Diana says through clenched teeth, swerving the car around a corner and onto a side street, trying to shake their pursuers. But the SUV is relentless, tailing them every turn. The chase is on, and Emma knows they won't stop until they've caught them. The streets blur by in a dizzying flash as the car speeds through the city, narrowly avoiding obstacles. The SUV is gaining on them, their headlights cutting through. The dark night like a predator tracking its prey. Emma can hear the sound of the engine, the pounding of her heart, and the terrified whispers of her thoughts all blending into a deafening roar. She has to think fast, and she has to be ready to face whatever comes next. Diana drives like a woman possessed, expertly weaving through the narrow streets, but the pursuit is relentless. They can't outrun them forever. "James!" Emma yells, her voice desperate. "What do we do?" James glances over his shoulder, his face set with determination. "We need to make it to the docks. There's a place there where we can hide. It's the only chance we've got." Emma nods, her pulse quickening. They turn sharply, heading toward the edge of the city, and in the distance, she sees the faint outline of the docks, the final place where they'll make their stand. But as they approach the docks, Emma hears the unmistakable sound of tires screeching behind them. The SUV is closing in faster than she expected. "Diana, faster!" She shouts, her voice trembling. Diana pushes the car to its limits, but the gap is closing. In the rearview mirror, Emma sees Liam's smirk, a look of victory in his eyes. He thinks he's got them cornered. But Emma won't let him win. Not now, not ever. The car skids to a stop near a darkened warehouse on the edge of the docks. Emma and James leap out, grabbing what they can, anything that can help them make a final stand. Diana remains in the car, her eyes fixed on the approaching SUV. "We're not done yet," Emma mutters, her voice full of defiance. She's come too far to back down now. As the SUV screeches to a halt, Liam steps out, a smug smile still plastered on his face. "It's over, Emma. You don't get to control this narrative. We're taking you in, one way or another." Emma stands tall, her gaze unwavering. James steps forward, his posture protective, but also resolute. This is the moment that will define everything. They will either win or lose here. "Liam," Emma says, her voice steady, "this is where it ends. I have everything I need. And soon the world will know who you really are." Liam scoffs, shaking his head. "You think anyone will believe you? You've already lost, Emma. You just don't know it yet." Suddenly, the sound of sirens fills the air. The authorities, Diana's team, have arrived, and they are here to take down the operation once and for all. But it's not just the authorities who arrive. The truth has been unleashed, and the corrupt empire built by Project K21 is about to crumble. Liam's face goes pale as he realizes the game is over. He turns to flee, but James is faster, tackling him to the ground, holding him until the authorities arrive. As Emma watches the authorities take Liam and Knox into custody, she feels a strange sense of peace settle over her. The fight is over. The truth has come out, and she's finally free from the chains that bound her. She looks at James, and for the first time in a long time, she sees a future built on honesty, trust, and redemption. Months later, Emma and James sit on a beach, watching the sun set over the ocean. The weight of the past is still with them, but it no longer defines them. Together, they've faced the darkest parts of themselves and the world around them. And now, as they watch the waves crash against the shore, they know that the future is theirs to create. James takes Emma's hand, his grip warm and steady. "We did it," he says softly, his voice filled with a mixture of pride and relief. Emma nods, her eyes softening as she looks at him. "Yeah, we did. For the first time, she's not running from the past. She's walking forward, ready to build the life she deserves. And as the sun dips below the horizon, Emma knows that the fight is over and the journey toward healing has just begun.